Hey, Don here. I'm back in the shop. Going to continue working with part 2 on this violin for my nephew. So stick with me and I'll show you how we keep going on this thing.
Oh yeah! Welcome to the show!
The first thing I want to do is I want to get this tailpiece thing cleaned up and put it back on. So let's start, and honestly all I do with this is I've got a flat file here, and I'm just going to clean up the glue off the two mating surfaces here, down here and here. First on this. Yeah, let me flip it over. This is a little bit more aggressive. And I'm just scraping the old glue off. So I've got a nice wood-to-wood contact here. A little bit more. Okay, that side looks pretty good. Now let me get the bottom here. Yeah, I can really feel clumps of glue there. Yeah, a little more. The rule is glue doesn't stick to glue. Glue sticks to wood. So that's what we're trying to do, is get as much cleaned off as possible here. Okay. That's pretty good shape right there. Alright, so let's try to get that in place. That's pretty good. You want it to be even across here. Now I need to clean this up, and what I got for that is I've got a fairly sharp chisel here, and I'm just going to use that as kind of a scraper to scrape some of the glue. All I'm doing is I'm just trying to scrape the glue off. I don't want to take much wood at all, because this was fitted properly. Okay, I spin it around. Work on this side a little bit. Okay, looks like I'm down to wood. I'm going to go ahead and try to get a little bit off of this here too. So this is the sides that we're seeing, and a little bit of the tail block that's inside of here. The block is probably about this big, that goes into here, that's behind there. And the point of that is that when you bring the sides around, if you can see that seam right here, okay, the sides get glued to that, and it gives you some extra beef here, so the end pin will go in and it'll stay. And Ed, I checked this. This is a pretty solid shape, so we're just going to reuse that one. And then the top is actually cut out here, and you can see the purfling and stuff, and I don't know if you can kind of see how that's actually an inlay, but that's the construction and how that works. So now let me try to clean up these corners in this other, the edge of the plywood here. Yeah, that was pretty clean to begin with, so I think we're in good shape there. We're down to bare wood again. So now let's talk about glues. I get the bottled hide glue because I don't do enough of this. If you watch really professionals that do this all the time, they actually have a pot and they melt their hide glue and have that and then apply it with a brush. And so that's hot when they're working on a bunch of stuff. Like I said, I only do small repairs like this. If I was going to do a lot of repairs where I was taking tops off and disassembling and I wanted to redo hide glue on everything, then I would probably get one of those. But I generally don't get into that heavy of a repair. And just a little bit here. Why do you use hide glue? The point is that if you ever need to take something apart, hide glue, when adding heat or maybe a little steam, will soften and then you can pull it apart again. So that's why you see that used a lot in orchestra repair instruments. So, and all I need here is a couple little dabs. All right. Tell you what, let me spin this around so you can see this. I'm trying to do this. The last one I did with the pegs, there was some stuff out of focus, so I'm trying to get this to where you can see. So let's put just a couple dabs there and over there. Okay, that's probably still too much. Spread that around a little bit. Okay. Alright, so that fits good there. Just a little bit squeezed out in the bottom. I'll just wipe that up with my finger quick. So that looks good. So, and then all I do to hold it in place while the glue sets is take a rubber band and then go up around here. Okay. That's pretty easy fix there. So now, tomorrow we'll take that off. So now we need to talk about this nut. This will be the biggest job here. And if you look at the profile on this, you can see, first of all, there is a curve to it, okay, on the top. And when you look at the side view, the bottom and one side is 90 degrees. So that's the side that goes against the fingerboard. That's pretty good as far as a 90 degree with the neck and the end of the fingerboard. So that's where you're going to glue it, but guess what? It's too thick. And I'll point to this. You can see the peg box comes up here. You want this to be the same thickness there, which means I have to take some off of there. And I also need to take some off the sides. Let me hold this in place, and I got a sharp pencil here, and I'm just going to make some pencil marks on the sides here. And can you see those? I'm hoping that you can see those marks. So anyway, to start with, I will get the sides and the thickness at the sander, and I'm not going to show that. You've seen me use the sander before. I'm going to take that and try to get that where I want, and I'm just wondering if I can get an idea how much. Not much. Probably looking at about that much thickness, if you can see that pencil mark. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing here. But I'll take it over and start slowly taking it down to size. And then we'll come back and I'll keep checking the fit here. Looks like I got a little glue there I gotta clean up too, so. Yeah, it was just a chunk of glue that was sitting there. Otherwise it looks good. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay. I took some off here. Let's take a look. Sides are getting closer. I still got to take a little bit. They're still a little bit proud. And I still got to take some more off of this. Looks like my angle is good. But let me go ahead and give myself another pencil mark here. Let me go over and sand a little bit more of that down. That's looking pretty good. Let me go take a little bit more off the sides. Oh man, that is so close. Need just a little bit more off of each side. I'm telling you, working with this stuff, boy, that's good. I think we hit it. You want it to be flush on the sides here. And it's so close I can take the rest off with a file. Okay, that's flush. That's flush there. And over here. Alright, so now I got to take some of this top off of here. So what I'm going to do with that is, let me try to position this so you can see. I've got a dull pencil now. Got that in position. Okay, now I'm going to make a high line at the curve of the top of that. So can you see that? So now I want to keep the angle about there, but I'll start whittling that down until I get just above that line. That's the next step. So be right back. Alright, let's take a look here. Boy, that's looking pretty good. You can see how much we got here. We got enough. Okay. So the deal is with this is that I could sit and just take little sanding strokes and stuff, but generally the way I like to do it, you know, and that's off just a touch. Let me go ahead and change that. I'm going to take just a little bit off of that. Maybe I can do it with the file. Yeah, that fits better. Alright, so now what I want to do shaping this, and I'm going to do some of this before I glue it on. The final touches I'll do after I get it glued on, and I can carefully do. But you see from this corner here, this needs to be rounded over. Okay. And as I'm doing that, I want to take some more off of this so this whole corner gets rounded over a little bit. There and down here. And on both sides. And then all of this edge here also needs to be rounded over so it's a smooth transition. And let me go grab a factory or a brand new or a different violin and show you what it's supposed to look like and try to show you what we're trying to achieve here. Alright. Set that over there. So, as you can see on this one, get my pointer again, it kind of disappears right here, so that lines up. And then this gets curved down, also curved up like this. And this gets tapered back, so it's a more gentle transition from this bearing edge right here down into the peg box. Okay, and then I have to cut some slots in, but that's what we're trying to achieve, is that curve there and a taper down there. So, and also let me spin it this way. You can see that the height of this above the fingerboard is not very high. I'm hoping you can see that in the video here. But that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here, and some of this can be done after it's glued on. Let me go back. I'm going to put this away. I'll be right back. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start rounding some of this stuff off. See how we're looking here. Looking pretty good. We're still a little bit high, but I like the way the sides are looking here. That's nice. Maybe a little bit more of a round over back here. So let me work on that. And before I get any further, let me go ahead and do another pencil mark back here. Yeah, I'm going to go take a little more of that off in the sander. It'll take me a while with the file, so I'll be right back. Yeah, that's looking good. Alright, let me shape it a little bit more with the file. And we're about ready to glue it. Okay. Take a closer look at this. Looks like the treble side needs to be tapered a little bit more. And I can do more of this when it's actually on, glued on, and I will, just to shape it. But it's a little bit easier to do what you can now, because if I start doing, there's a chance I might hit the side of the wood or the instrument itself. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Alright, here again, very small dab of glue. Can you see how much glue I got there? I want it flush right there. Okay, I think we're in good shape right there. Alright, I'll come back when the glue's set and then we'll finish up shaping this. Okay, we've let this glue dry. Let's go ahead and get this off of here. Everything is good. This is still needs to be shaped a little bit. Let me pull these out of the way. So now what I can do is I can carefully just shape this a little bit more where I want. All I'm trying to do is just smooth out any transitions. And I'm just trying to be careful not to hit the fingerboard or the peg box. I'm in pretty good shape. Let me go grab a little fine sandpaper and I'll just finish that up quick. One thing that you just never know, how far do you go? And since this is just going to be a wall decoration, we're going to call that good. I think that's fine. All right, the next step with this. This is where my old school templates come in. I made all this bag of templates. Let me get the two that I'm going to need. Everything else in here is for different instruments, cellos, basses, smaller violins. For the two I'm going to use today, this is one when I'm going to actually won't use this today, but when I get ready to do the bridge, this is my template for doing that. And today we're going to use this one. So you can see I've got different curves and radiuses here, and I've got notches. This is for violin. So what I want to do now is with my pencil, and I'm trying to do this backwards so you guys can see it. I center this template and then little pencil marks there, 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 and there. Yeah, I gotta move that one over a little bit. And there, okay. So now I've got my mini files again. And this time I'm going to grab one that's a triangle, small triangle file. And let's start over here. And what I'm trying to do is actually angle to where, when I start cutting it in, you see the angle I'm doing this way? That way the string, when it lands in here, will go inside the peg box. Okay? And you have to do those a little bit of an angle on the outside so they travel in correctly. And now what I'm doing is I'm filing out material so that it angles into the peg box, but this front edge here I want to leave alone. Okay? Alright, now the next one. ahead and get the next one. And we get this one here, the last one. And I'm looking at an angle here. Just a little bit of a taper in so it gets into the peg box. This up here looks a little rough to me yet, so I won't make you guys watch, but I'm going to take my files and I'm going to try to smooth that and round that down a little bit. Make it look just a little bit nicer. But now we've got the nut in place. We have, oops, I dropped the peg. Be right back. Okay, we got our pegs done, we got our nut done, we've got the saddle back in place. It's nice and solid, so that's good. And one thing that I did earlier before I started filming this is I worked on this. This template here also allows me to see what the radius of the fingerboard needs to be. And it was pretty close. The only problem with it is there was some built-up rosin here and a couple little dings or whatever. So all I did was just sand that. I took some 220, sanded it out, and then I steel wooled it. And then what I put on, let me grab a piece here. Then when I get it smooth where I like it, then I take a piece of paraffin wax and I just put that on, and then I use the palm of my hand to kind of warm it up and blend it in, just like that. And that puts a finish on here to protect this wood. And then you can wipe the excess off with a towel. But we got the pegs done, the nut done, saddle done. The only thing left before we put strings on it is we got to do the bridge. That's all I'm going to do on this video, though. That's going to be a whole nother thing. There's a lot that goes into fitting a bridge. So, okay, we got the pegs done, the nuts done with the slots for the strings. We got the saddle all secure again. And I showed you a little bit what I did on the fingerboard. I did that before I started the series, but it was actually, the taper was right on it. The radius was good. So that's what another thing you use these templates for. These templates I had to make. There are images online and stuff that, and I just took some hard plastic and a Dremel tool and just took my time sanding and shaping this stuff. Same thing, I've got multiple of these templates for doing bridges, and I'll talk more about that when I do the bridge in the next video. That's enough for this one. So if you like these videos, hit subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what, if you have any questions about the procedure or what we're doing here, ask. We'll get it on our list and put it in our list of questions to do. But that's all I'm going to do today. Thanks for watching the video. I'm glad you hung out with me. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for... I'm tired, man.